Yo, what's going on, everybody? It is 3 p.m. here in Chicago, Illinois. That means it's time for another live stream. Today is Saturday, February 20th, 2021. I almost said it's Sunday. I don't know. For a moment there, as I was talking, I thought it was Sunday, but it's definitely Saturday. Wait, let me check on that. I got to check my computer. What does it say? It's Saturday. It's Saturday. Yeah, it's Saturday. I don't know why I just completely lost it there, but it's Saturday for sure. Yeah. How are you guys doing today? Obviously, my brain is a little bit foggy. I'm tired. I had a tough workout this morning, and yeah, feeling a little bit sleepy. Then the girls wanted to go for a walk in the snow today. They usually, walk through the snow. I walk on the sidewalk, and it's really exhausting for them. So it's fun, but it was a lot out there. But now we're all kind of like in quiet mode here, which is kind of nice. And it's that time of day where the house is getting really cooked by some of the sunlight, so it's like extra warm in here right now. So I'm sleepy. I'm gonna be a little bit groggy today. I'm gonna try to wake up. Sorry about that, guys. Everyone listening on the podcast version, welcome. Hopefully you guys are having a good run today. Hopefully it's not too cold for you. Same for everyone that's watching this on YouTube after the fact, not live. Glad you guys are here as well. For everyone that's here live, how did your runs go today? I had a good run, a tough workout that I wasn't sure. I knew I'll get a good workout, but I wasn't sure I was going to hit the paces. Like the paces weren't going to match the efforts. But I think it did okay. It wasn't exactly where I wanted it to be, but it was good. And it was the first time running this workout, so it was takes some getting used to. But I think I got it today, so I'm feeling good. But the temperature was cold. It was 6 degrees Fahrenheit for us, so a little bit chilly. All right, we've got a super chat coming in. Let me find out. Spence, what's going on? Spence says, jog on, brother, sending love to both you and Jamie today. Oh, thank you so much, Spence. It's good to see you again, and I hope you are doing well today. Thank you very much. All right, so let's see. We got some weather reports coming in from all over the place today as well. Philip says it was 17 C or 62 degrees Fahrenheit today. Whew. It's only t-shirt and shorts for today's AM run. I'm having a hard time even envisioning 62 degrees right now. So you had 17K around a nearby lake with Laura. That sounds just absolutely delightful. To go on like a shorts and t-shirt run with a dog around a lake, that sounds like a great Saturday. And Philip says, despite being early, the breeze coming off from the lake was so nice and warm. That just sounds heavenly. And Ines went for a run today too. Says 5K with daughter Emma and Pip this morning and a half hour on the Zwift this evening. Much milder temperatures here. Now back to Phil Collins weather. In parentheses, no jacket required. Nice. Tab says, not quite t-shirt and shorts weather in the UK yet. 10 degrees Celsius-ish. Nice. That still sounds really great. It's going to be like the high temperature for the day, I think on Tuesday here in Chicago is going to be 39 degrees Fahrenheit. I think that's like 5 or 6 Celsius. I'm not exactly sure. But all I know is that's gonna feel like spring. I'm gonna feel like running in shorts in that. Granted, for me, by the time of day that I run, it'll probably be closer to like right around freezing temp, maybe a little bit below freezing. But relatively speaking, it's gonna feel really, really nice. All right, I'm gonna scroll down. Sorry about everyone else's comments today. I'm gonna scroll down a little bit further. But I did see where did it go? I saw Dr. Josh is here. He said that there was really nice weather in Portland today, which is nice because I just watched his video today where it was like still snowing and nasty out on the track. So good to hear that the weather is. I think I'm glad to hear that the weather is turning around for a lot of people. All right, let's scroll down a little bit further. All right. Let's scroll down a little bit. What do we got here? Martha's here. Good to see you again, Martha. My mom's here as well. Yeah. CJ Cruz says 1080 version 11, first run. Believe in the Run interview with Kipchoge and Hella's transcontinental video releases made my day. And now it's time for the live stream. That's a nice day. That's a really nice day. I still haven't had. I thought it was going to be on. Is it not on like the drop, like the audio version? I looked for it today. Sometimes my Apple Watch doesn't like give me like recent episodes like right away, so I didn't see it there. So I don't know if you have to watch it on YouTube for that. But I was gonna try and listen to that today, so I haven't had a chance to listen to that one. And then Hella's Transcontinental's video. Oh, I haven't seen that one, so I'll have to check that out. Cool. Very cool. CJ says also, I tried kombucha for the first time today, and I love it. The question is, did you make the kombucha face? I just like saying kombucha face. That's a fun phrase to say. Oh, here we go. Here's where Josh says, beautiful day in the Portland area. Nice. And Jeff Elliott's got 47 degrees Fahrenheit there. Yeah, that's like my favorite temperature. Like high 40s, low 50s. That's just absolutely delightful. And Sue says, beautiful day for a run in New York. Nice. All right. We're cycling on Wednesdays here. Lucas Luley. Larry Lawrence got in a long run today. David Sachs is here. Race Mob is back. Good to see you guys again. He says, hope you guys are doing well. Did you guys see? I'll have to post a link to it. But I retweeted it, and I was trying to think if I put it elsewhere. But I had a chance to talk to the guys at Race Mob. So there's a nice long conversation there. They asked me a lot. Well, I ended up talking a lot about my dad on that one. So that was pretty fun. And talking about my first marathon story. So I felt like I've told that story a couple of times, but I felt like I told it a little bit more from my dad's perspective this time. So that was a fun conversation. All right. Rick Sutter says, happy Saturday, fellow Kofuzians. Felt awesome running a Fanny Freezer 5K. Was set to go under 20 minutes on a hilly course. So my alpha flies came untied twice? What? I mean, first time, shame on them. Second time, shame on you, right? Well, the point is you can't fool me 2 times. But, yeah. I mean, that happened to me. I haven't had that happen with the alpha flies. That happened to me with the Carbon X, the version 1. I would always triple tie the knot on those shoes because they would just a double knot. They would still get untied. So I always triple knot those. And then today I ran in the Adios Pro. And those shoelaces are so thin. They're like shoestring French fries. Because they're yellow color too, so it reminds me of French fries. But like, they're so thin that they're almost useless. It seems like, and they're just gonna get in my way. Fortunately, they didn't get untied, but that stinks. Because to go under 20 on a hilly course, that's nice. That's a nice number to get. But when the shoes don't hold up, that stinks. Martha says, I started the Rich Roll interview with Alexi Pappas, my first Rich Roll podcast. She's so lovely. Naturally, one guy wrote that her times are nothing special, to which I replied, oh, man. Where is it continued? I got to see what the rest of that comment is. Yeah. And Martha wrote, you must be the keyboard warrior type who lurks in those message boards and you missed all the points. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I mean, that's an interesting point too, Martha. I still haven't had a chance to listen to the Alexi Pappas interview yet, but that is one that I'm looking forward to. And she is lovely. And I think that, like, before I had listened to her speak, I saw her speak before the Houston Marathon. She was at the expo with Matt Chittum and Molly Huddle. And before that, I kind of had this like impression of her as being, I don't know, just like kind of like just a regular runner. I didn't really have much impression of her. But then like everything she was saying was like, wow, these are very thoughtful, well-reasoned like things that she's saying. I'm like, this is not what I was expecting to come from this woman, because like she seems to be very wise. Like there's like an old soul in there, even though she's still very young. And so I don't know. It just caught me very much by surprise, and I've been a fan ever since. But yeah, but then the fact that there's that comment, there's like a dude that's commenting like, yeah, but there's always like their guy that does like the, well, how do people write it? PFFFFFT, like that thing. There's always there's the dude that writes that. And it reminds me of, like a couple of things like all coming to a head. One is I remember watching a Ginger Runner live stream, and Kim was talking about how like, because I don't know if you guys remember, but Kim had was doing reviews. She was doing gear reviews, things that were very focused towards women, which I thought made a lot of sense because there's a lot of dudes that are reviewing running packs, for example. But the fit for running packs for women is going to be very different. and the things that women care about in terms of fit are going to be very different as well. And so she was starting to do that kind of stuff, doing shoe reviews and talking about that kind of thing. And then and then it kind of like went away. I don't know if it exactly related to this or not, but she mentioned that one thing that surprised her was that how much ownership other people seemed to take over her running. Like it shouldn't just be her running. Everyone was always telling her what she was doing wrong, or like, of course she was going to fail. And I've gotten those same comments too. And I feel like I get that all the time, especially as being a low heart rate runner. I get that a lot. A lot of people writing very, very, very long messages about like how I'm training like an idiot. And so I could relate to her on that, but I felt like from like the gender perspective was also very different to it as well. And I feel like I've seen a similar thing happen on a lot of things on Sandy's channel as well, where there's a very similar dynamic where she's very much, I don't think that her content is intended for women, but I feel like a natural kind of connection point or like a focal point for her is to talk to other women runners. But I also feel like at the same time, there's a lot of men that are coming in and being like, let me tell you all the things you're doing wrong. Right. And then the third kind of like example of that I just saw today was on Emily Heller's Instagram. On her story, she was looking at her YouTube analytics, and her statistics say that even though she's a female runner trying to talk to other women, she doesn't make it like necessarily all female content. She tries to make it neutral, but she was surprised because even for her, her analytics were 80% men and only 20% women. She was surprised by that. But I was just like, it's a different, I think that in certain avenues, it's still a very hostile to women. Running is still, the internet, I think, is still very hostile to women, even in running, a place where I wouldn't necessarily consider it to be that hostile to them, at least not in 2021. I feel like we've come a long way. We're trying to make strides, but it's just very, very, it's a very, like, there's lots of those different touch points that are kind of still happening. I don't know. That was a long ramble. Sorry about that, guys, but yeah. Cameron says, and Sandy seems to internalize it. You can sort of hear it in her voice when she talks about online jerks. I feel for her. Yeah. So I sometimes sense that too. And like, yeah. And so like, it's hard because I internalize it too. I know what she's going through, when your running is public. On the one hand, you feel like, well, I've made my running public, so I guess they get to comment. But on the other hand, it's like, the way I see it now is like, I'm very fortunate that I have more comments than I have time to answer them all. So like, I just don't waste my energy. It's not like I'm trying to ignore them or censor or somehow whitewash the comment section. It's just like, there's people that have like genuine questions that I'd rather answer their genuine questions than to respond to someone who's not really interested in a conversation or listening, so that's kind of how I try to look at it. Dr. Josh says, my analytics are 98.5% men, 1.5% women. Yeah, mine are like 95 and 5. And I messaged Emily. I was like, yeah, my analytics are like 95% men, give or take 5%. So it can fluctuate. And I've been that high before. It doesn't normally stay there, but yeah, I've certainly seen the same thing. And it makes me feel like, that may be a big reason why I see like very big followings on Instagram where it's like, there isn't much of like, there's still some like replying to people's comments, so there's like could be mini threads, but there doesn't seem to be as much of that. It's a lot harder to like, for people to snipe at each other in Instagram than it does like on YouTube. And I feel like it kind of like naturally kind of helps deflate some of that. And so I don't know if that's part of the reason why there seems to be very different like gender demographics and viewing habits between the two kind of platforms. Yeah, and it says, imagine telling Sandy where she is going wrong. Sandy's a go-to person on where to find out about how to run. She has a very good running for videos. Yeah, running form, I think is what you must say, videos. Yeah, the same thing is when I was watching the Carbon X2, the Hoka race, and people were like looking at Camille Herron and how she runs, and they were like, this woman is terrible. She's never going to make it very far in ultra running with a form like that. And people were responding back to her like, do you realize who you're talking about? And it was just really just amazing. All right. Spence says, which brand of kombucha do you all prefer? At the grocery store, they have it on an end cap on my way out. Going to grab one. I don't know. The one that I tried was Remedy. There's other ones that I've seen, but I haven't tasted any of them before because I only had them that one time. So maybe someone else can chime in with ones that they like. But I feel like with kombucha, I'm excited now that I know that I like this is a drink that I don't find annoying. I'm excited to try some different flavors and some different brands. So I'm looking forward to that. Shannon says, who is Sandy and what's her channel called? Sandy Nypaver. I think if you look up Sandi, like ultra running, you'll probably find it. Is it Running Wild or something? Wild? Is it still that? I forget. Her channel name was something very different. It wasn't very obvious, but maybe someone else can find it for me while we're here. Yeah, Running Wild, Mark says. I think so. Yeah, and it confirms. That's right. All right. Yeah, and Ben White says, all the more reason to cherish our women recording content creators. Yeah, I mean, I think that it's important just because, like, I don't think it's going to be healthy if, like, YouTube is a space where it's, like, 95% men, And so, like, it's just we're doing something wrong then if that's the case. All right. Brendan's here. What's going on, Brendan? He says, hello there. Had to do a Zwift ride. I'm not a polar bear like Kofuzi, so I had to avoid the snowstorm. Yeah, but I feel like you're at like a slightly different level. You're like next level up in cold where you are, though. So I think, there is that going for you. Let's see. Witchcraft Lady says, hey, I'm a woman. Am I the 1%? I mean, there's a handful of women here, and I feel like that it makes me feel good that I'm not creating stuff that's like super bro-y, because I don't like bro-y like content on YouTube. When I find that, it's just an instant, like, I could tell right away, and just very much a turnoff. So I have a hard time watching that kind of stuff, and I'm hoping that I'm not giving off that vibe too. So yeah, so like I'm glad that there seems to be a good amount of diversity in this, and not that I'm intentionally trying to like cultivate diversity. It's not like I'm trying to make like a sampler pack, but I feel like it's a good sign that I'm making content that appeals to runners, all kinds of runners. And Martha says, I think the internet is hostile to lots of demographics due to the anonymity factor. The running community is still definitely positive, but the internet reflects the best and worst of humanity. Yeah, I think very well said, Martha. Yeah, Meredith and Leona saying, yep, we women are in the 5%. Yeah, I'm glad to have you guys here. Yeah, and Eric the Red said, I thought runners are the nice community, but yeah, it only takes a couple of toxic folks to spoil the atmosphere. That's true. That's true. But I think that's why I like, I always try to make more of an effort now to, make sure I'm kind of not policing, but like, making sure that that people aren't letting things slide. I don't like to be like the PC police or whatever, but when it's time to say something, it's time to say something. And there's also like a lot of things that you can just not, people cannot say, but all right. Andreas Lindholm says, I'm into the charity running ecosystem, and in there, I feel it more the inverse, like 90% women in that. Oh, that's interesting. Huh. I could see that. I know that like for like my family and like my in-laws, for example, they love doing like charity. I wouldn't consider them necessarily runners because they don't do it regularly, but they'll occasionally like sign up for a charity fun run or a charity fundraiser. And then they might run for a period of time getting ready for that. Right now, my wife, my mother-in-law, and then one of my sisters-in-law, they're all doing some sort of walking charity thing where they have to walk like 100 miles in a certain amount of time. it's all kind of just self-reported. And then I forget what charity it goes to. But yeah, I mean, that's something that definitely like people in my family tend to really gravitate towards is like the charity fund running. Mark wants to know, when you are for your training, do you stop for pizza? Do I ever stop for pizza? No, I don't think I've ever stopped like mid-run to eat pizza, but I've definitely done some like run tourism, like if I'm in another city for work or something and I'm running around, I have definitely like done a Google search for pizza places in the vicinity of the hotel and kind of done a flyby to check out which are the ones that I want. But you know, a lot of that stuff you can do usually these days on like just the Google Maps. You can get like the street view, so you don't necessarily have to do that as much anymore. But you get a better sense of kind of like, you can usually kind of tell the book by its cover when it comes to pizza places. Like, what does it look like from the outside? You can kind of tell what the pizza is going to be like when you get in there. All right. Tab Hunter said, Roberto Villa hit a 1:45:59 half marathon PR today. Awesome. And is looking for advice on maintaining that pace for the full marathon. Ooh, awesome. Sorry about that. Sorry I missed that. But thank you so much, Tab, for highlighting that to me. Roberto, great work on the half marathon PR. Awesome. Advice for maintaining that pace for the full marathon. I would say the one answer that I would give is the answer that I tend to give for everything is run more. And so a lot more longer, easy runs to build up more of that aerobic base. And I think that'd be one of the things that you can really do to make sure that you're maintaining that for an even longer distance. Yeah, that'd be the main thing that I would look for that. I mean, and then when you get closer, after you're just building more and more and more and more aerobic engine, then as you get close to that marathon, you can start putting in some marathon specific workouts, but just trying to get a little bit faster, maintaining a half marathon pace for a marathon. Yeah, a lot of running. Carl J says, for the amount of trolls on the internet, I'm so surprised I haven't seen one yet on your live streams. We had a time where I'm not sure if it was people or bots that were that kept coming in, and so we had to be a little bit aggressive at the time in terms of like I can put people in timeout, or I can kind of like remove them from the live stream, like one of the two. And so there was a time where that was pretty frequent and pretty regular. Where we were doing that, but now I think that people kind of like have seen what this is and are like, okay, I don't like those, and they just kind of ignore it, or they do watch it or unsubscribe or whatever. So I mean, I think that's what's going on with that. But yeah, there comes a time where every once in a while it'll happen. Yeah, and I mean, I'll get some people that are have like negative comments and stuff, and that's fine. These days I don't have time to really interact with that anymore. Whereas before I would try to I tried to make it a point to like win them over, like convert them over to liking me, which is very strange behavior for me because I don't feel that the need to do that like in person to like anybody, but like on the internet, I always wanted to like win people over. I always had a theory that like there are people that are out there that have like kind of like their first response to everything is negative. And then if you kind of like pretend it was or ignore the comment and respond back with something that's like neutral or positive, then like it was kind of like their throat clearing, like how people say like for some people I say before or between thoughts. Other people respond something negative or sexist or racist in the comments, but then they say like what they really want to say the second time. So like, but now I just don't have time to kind of like engage in that. Although that was fun to do. All right. If anyone else has running questions, feel free to answer or to put them in the chat. Sorry, I think I've been rambling a lot today, a little bit more than usual. But if you came here with a question today, I want to make sure it gets answered. So feel free to put it in there. All right. It looks like we got some running chat going on here. Zachary says, I just picked up the ASICS Nova Blast and the Endorphin Speeds as my first two running shoes. That's a good 1-2 punch. that'll get you pretty far. I feel like those are two great shoes to start building a rotation. I mean, yeah, you won't really need many more shoes than that for a while. So good work. Awesome. And LaPizza, I think LaPizza was asking me earlier in comments, I think. Did I see it in comments? On YouTube about checking out the more Solomon shoes. He wants me to look at the S-Labs Pulsar. It looks like a great road to trail shoe. See, I commented this, LaPizza. I said, like, I tried the Sense Ride, and I thought that was supposed to be a little bit of a road to trail shoe. I don't think it is at all. I think it's a pretty intense trail shoe as far as I'm concerned. And so, like, when Solomon tells me something is a road to trail shoe, I'm like, what kind of roads, Solomon, are you talking about? That's kind of what I feel like. I'm like, roads must mean something. Road to trail must mean something different to Solomon than it does to me. So I feel like kind of take that with a grain of salt because trail is where their wheelhouse is. But I feel like there was another shoe that was like, there was like something, the Sense Ride, and then another one that was even less trail that I thought I might pick up. But I know they have road shoes as well. So like maybe like the thing is I just need to get a Solomon road shoe too. But maybe the Pulsar, I'll look at it. I'll see. I mean, I don't know that I'll pick it up, but I'll take a look at it. The Running Farang says, are you doing the 4-4-48? I'm not. I've listened to the Rich Roll podcast. I don't know if it was the latest episode, but he does that like check-in with his friend. And I listened to him, and his friend was like, yeah, it's in 3 weeks. Got any tips for me? Like, how should I train for it? And Rich was like, I feel like Rich was trying to be like, well, it's way too late for me to give you training tips. You're 3 weeks out. But he was very like gracious about it. And I think I could. I don't know that I could do it. I've never done an event like that where I have to run that frequently. It does remind me a lot of the Bo Miles thing where he ran a mile. Like, what he did, ran like a mile every day, every hour for 24 hours or something like that. So it kind of reminds me of that. It seems very like ADD. It seems very masochistic because you throw in like sleep deprivation in there. So like, yeah. It sounds fun, but I don't think that it's really something for me. So I applaud the people that are going to be trying that. I think it's awesome, but not for me. All right, let's see. We've got Meredith says, all right, so I have my 8th half marathon early March. The last PB was 2:25:48. I'm looking to get sub 2:20. What should I focus on, volume or speed training? Yeah, I mean, I would look at volume if you are someone who responds to volume. So, I mean, I think like probably the better, I mean, my gut is always more volume is good for a lot of people. And I think that most people don't see kind of like the diminishing return points in their volume just because life gets in the way. We don't have enough time, or we don't have the ability to like focus on recovery enough. And so, or we're not strong enough to really, we haven't been running high volume long enough to see like what happens if we put even more volume on, like a crazy amount of volume on top of that to see like how we do. But there are some people like Andy, I think is an example, FOD runner, who like, he's like a less volume, run faster with less. He's definitely that kind of guy. He's been running like 60-mile weeks or something like that, but like his times are just dropping like crazy. They're insane. And he runs like, he does 80-20 like backwards. He's like 80% of his running is intense and 20 is easy. And none of it makes sense to me, but he's just becoming such a fast human being. So it's really crazy. But I think for most people, unless you've had instances where I think that like the higher volume starts to really break you down and like your workouts are suffering and you're not able to get good workouts in because your body's so tired and you're just constantly showing up to races with injuries, that in that situation, then I might focus a lot more on speed. But like, if it's in early March, it's coming up. So like, let's see. I mean, at this point though, because early March is coming up soon, it might be a good time to get some kind of like honing that knife's edge. So, yeah, I mean, Yeah, I didn't think about that early March part. So if you had a lot more time, like 2 months, then I would say, build up volume. But with it coming in early March, then I would say try and get some speedier, I would say like threshold effort work. So a couple of bursts of workouts where you're going longer periods of time at your half marathon pace or faster. A little bit faster would be ideal, and start to work on some getting your body really accustomed to longer bouts at that faster pace. So that's kind of what I would do right now at this point, with the race coming in early March and it being kind of like mid-February. So that's where I would put it. Sorry, that was a roundabout answer. I kind of flip-flopped in the middle, but yeah. Jody says, when you do your 100K for 100K, and if you do it by yourself in the city, you should create your own aid station by stopping at different shops, like a pizza shop, etc. That's a very fun idea. Or maybe I can find like places that have drive-through or something like that. Or I can find maybe different ways to, I don't know. If I do that though, yeah, I mean, I would like to do it at a race. And so it might not coincide like exactly with it. I mean, hopefully it wouldn't happen before I hit 100,000 subscribers, but like depending, I might just be like, I'm picking a race in December in Indiana somewhere, I'm going to do it. So like that's probably like more how it'll turn out. But that would be kind of funny to have it like just go bar hopping. But like, oh, I like Revolution Brewery. I'll swing by there in Logan Square, then come back up by Dry Hop, up by me in Lakeview, and then go up all the way up to Old Irving, like that'd be kind of fun. Maybe that would be a way to do it. Because then I would basically get like beer, and I think all three of those places have really good French fries. So like that'd be another way to do it. But pizza too would be another one. But like, I don't know that many pizza places that I would like to eat on the run in Chicago. There's the one by me that I like. I like Rinaldi's. All right. Yeah, Dr. Dress says Kofuzi has the band hammer. I try not to do it. I'd rather not, because like, I'd rather have people like be like, put it down, just like calm down for a second and hang out. And I feel like you'll have a good time here, guys. Everyone can hang out. That's kind of how I feel. But some people don't want to do that. Witchcraft Lady says, a friend of mine started to go run with me twice a week. How can I make it interesting for new runners, or at least not make them feel horrible, but a good experience? I'm pretty chatty when I run, which again is really weird for me because normally, believe it or not, even though I do a live stream every day, I'm not normally a very chatty person. The live stream is just a very comfortable space for me. And running, it only seems like a very comfortable space for me. And so like, keep the conversation going, maybe ask them. And I feel like if they're a new runner and you don't want them to feel horrible, then making sure that they're able to keep up a conversation gives you a good idea if they're like struggling to keep up with you, or if they're at a comfortable, like easy pace. Because then if they're just like, oh, I just went out for a run with my friend Witchcraft Lady. We just chatted for like 30 minutes and then we hung out afterwards. Maybe we went and got a cup of coffee if that's something that's available to you where you are, or we just like chatted at the cars afterwards, if you drove somewhere to go run, then I think that that's a really great way to make it a positive, not only physical experience, but also social experience as well. And so I think that's a good way to do it. I was listening to what podcast was it? Oh, it was on I listened to a different ritual podcast during my cool down today, where I was talking to some author who wrote a book called Think Again, about like rethinking opinions and not being so entrenched in one's thoughts or like belief systems. And they were talking about like, Ritual was like, I really like talking in person. And the other guy was like, I don't know. Sometimes I like kind of having the Zoom or like an audio only conversation. He's like, Zoom is kind of weird, but like the audio conversation, I think, he's like, I think I get more out of it in an audio only conversation at times. And I was thinking that I totally understand that perspective. I find it disarming in a way. And so like for me, I have some of my best conversations in a car or on a run. And because I think it's that activity, the driving activity or the running activity, something that like is challenging enough to keep your mind like focused on something without being taxing. So you're not like going on like on a hard run, and you're not like, you know, driving through like a rally car course, you know. And so like if you're just driving like on a road trip, you just got like the gentle flow of scenery around you. Even the passenger has that too, and I feel like it lends itself to really just good conversation. It doesn't have to be the deepest material, but like an actual connection. So that's the thing that I would recommend. That was a very roundabout way of saying I am chatty today. Sorry, but yeah, that's kind of like what I would recommend. All right. Scotty B says, we're all still, and speaking of being the hammer or blocking people, we're all still trying to mark Mark C's shoot questions with a happy face emoji. Yeah, that's funny. All right. Let's see what else we got here. Stevie76 says, I'm late. Did you hear about the 2 in Florida who dressed up as old ladies to get their COVID vaccine? Really? That's terrible, but also very funny. Because I'm just envisioning like 2 ladies dressed up like Mrs. Doubtfire trying to get vaccines. And I mean, what? I don't even understand that. How you like, I don't know. That's really weird to me. That's crazy. That is a weird story though. But I mean, crazy stuff always happens in Florida, doesn't it? J Trumpet 2211 is here, and he's I played trumpet in the Air Force, or I play trumpet in the Air Force. Nice to meet you. Welcome, J Trumpet 2211. Good to have you here. Zachary Linsenman says, Kofu, do you have any advice for improving 5K time? I'm not the expert on 5K training plans, but my favorite workout for the 5K is to do a bunch of I like 800s to prepare for the 5K at race pace or faster. If you're going to go faster, then I let the recoveries be a little bit longer. But if you're going to go like at race pace, I like to keep the recoveries relatively short, maybe like 100-meter jog in between the 800s. And just try to I try to do 5 or 6 of those for the session. So that's kind of like my favorite workout. I like it because it's a nice. I do 5 800s and then a 1,000 for the last to get 5. So I run 5K, the race worth of race pace, but with some rests in there. And the reason I like that is because it just gets your mind used to running at that pace. For me, running at that pace, my alarm bells start ringing. My brain's like, we can't maintain this. You got to slow down. You're going to hurt yourself if you keep doing this. And it just needs to have time to settle in at that and be like, oh, wait. I've been saying that we were going to blow up for like the last 4 reps, but we haven't blown up yet. Maybe we're fine. It just takes me a while to kind of like settle in that like, this is okay. This is all normal. Everything that's happening is normal and you can do it. So that's kind of why I like that one. But, thinking about it a little bit more tactically, you might want to do more efforts at 400 and 200, maybe at mile pace, with some, maybe even split, like even distance jogging in between. So those are the kinds of workouts that I would kind of look at, but, and those are the kinds of workouts that I'm doing now, but I'm doing them in prep for an 8K. So that's something else that you can do as well. But, the 5K is still, it's a tough, right? It's a tough race and it feels really fast, but it's still very much an aerobic event. So like being able to run fast for a long period of time is kind of the type of work that I prefer to do for it. All right. Let's see. Trevor wants to know what's my 5K PR. I think like 1943, 1940 or something like that. I mean, in high school, I ran like an 1840, but that was, in the last century. So it was a long time ago. So that doesn't really count anymore. All right. Let's see. Witchcraft Lady wants to know, did I ever try the Puma running shoes? Any opinions? You basically find no reviews online about them. I don't think anyone was running in the old ones. Although I think Ed Bud was running in some of them. But the new ones, are they out yet or what? I don't know. I'm very interested in some of the new ones. I'll definitely be picking up at least one. I'm not sure which one yet. But yeah, I mean, the new ones look interesting. The fact that they were able to sign Molly Huddle, very, very interesting to me. But it also makes me very curious because I'm like, they have other track athletes, they have other runners, like what's his name, Warholm, the 400-meter hurdler. He's a Puma athlete as well, and there are a lot of other sprinters. But so like those guys always wear spikes, but I'm like, they got to be running, and they still run. They still run outside, run outside. They do like their easy runs. What are they running in? So that's what I'm curious about. Like the Molly Huddle, like not Huddle, Molly Seidel, she puts her miles in and she talks about it a lot on her Instagram, what she's running in. And so I'm like, I want to see like, what is she running in? What is she loving? And then I'll probably pick something based on whatever she's kind of been talking about the most. All right. And Andreas Lindholm says, I totally agree. Running conversations are so different from other conversations. Going back to kind of like, I find them to be very disarming, the situation to be very disarming, and leads to good conversation. He says, it's totally different topics, but I assume it having rise and run to find cancer on my back may be a part of it. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, if that's something that that's a nice conversation point for people too, if you're in a larger group. So that's cool that you're able to have that on and you make that as a talking point too. But I think that, it's a good way. I just think it's a really great way to meet people. I mean, because you're there for a certain period of time. That's why I'm like really hoping once, I get to a position where I can be out and running, traveling to other parts of the country and running with other people. I really want to like bring back the running interview series. Like I've run with Jamie before. I've run with Seth before like that. I'd like to just run with a lot more people. I'd run with Dave, the founder of Janji, so like there's a lot more people that I'd love to be able to meet and run with and like have like, not super fancy audio, but like two people running, easy run, where ideally wherever that person lives or loves to run, and just have a conversation in that kind of situation and that like kind of environment. I hope to make a lot of videos like that. All right. Meredith says conversations with strangers at races are the absolute best. Yeah, they are, aren't they? Because there's also that nervous energy too. So it's very interesting, the conversations you have. All right. Munster Arla says, hi, what Sean said. What's favorite shoe between the Carbon X2 Hyperion Tempo and the Rocket X? I mean, I don't know. It might be the Hyperion Tempo. But, I just am partial to carbon. So it's hard to pick like a non-carbon plated shoe as a favorite. But I think of those three, it might be the Hyperion Tempo. It's just so lightweight. It's very nimble. I really like that shoe. But if I were to rank all three, it'd be Hyperion Tempo, Carbon X2, and then Rocket X. Trevor Cross said, run with Ed Bud would be cool. It certainly would. I mean, I'm trying to think, like, I don't know that I'd be able, like, trying to plan something around going into like the London Marathon, I think is probably a little bit, for me, foolish, and probably like not a great way to like maximize like the cost, expense, and time it would take for me to go over to England and run for a while. But I would love to perhaps do a race, maybe the Great North Run. It'd be one that's a road half marathon, right? I'm not getting that confused with something else. There's a really there's a race that's been going on for a very long time in England, a half marathon. I forget. I think that's what it is, but I'm not sure if that's what it is, or is it? Yeah, I don't know. But there's that half marathon that I think a lot of people do that I might want to, maybe I'd go up for that and then try to circle around and meet however many people I can over the course of maybe like a week, and I'd want to spend quite a bit of time there if I could. The other idea was there is like a big running convention that happens in England every year. And it's just basically a raceless expo. Now, they have something like that in the US called the Run Experience, but it's really more geared towards running media, and then also running retailers. So like a big aspect of it is like the manufacturers are meeting retailers, like buyers, like people that buy for like Fleet Feet, running warehouse, and like Roadrunner Sports, and the other like independent running stores. And they're trying to like convince people to like, hey, you should stock our stuff, and here's what's coming down the line. And it's not really like a runner, like it's not a consumer facing event. I had press privilege. I finally got like a press pass to it one year, and I couldn't go because of work. And then the next year it was a pandemic, so I didn't get to go. But I'd like to go to that. But I forget what it's called, but in England there's like an actual event. I've seen like Andy go to it. I don't know if I've seen Ed Bud there, but like Clean Coach Katie I've seen her there, and like a lot of people that were YouTubing for like a short while, and I think they all went over to podcasting. So like, yeah, so like there was that, and maybe to coincide with that, and then maybe find a park run to do, because I've never done park run. And I mean, I've done like a 5K fun run kind of thing, but park run is like a little bit of a different animal, and I just like to be able to like participate in that like kind of like running culture activity. So like that might be another thing to do. And it says, don't worry about England, come to Scotland and with me and David Lidstone. Yeah, I mean, it's close. I mean, that would be part of the trip. I would probably try to see, all of that area there. Yeah, I would like to spend some time going to Scotland as well. I want to see the unicorn tapestries. That would be on my list. So I think that would be fun. Yeah, and Mr. Random says, yes, the Great North Run is a road, and it's a half marathon. Really fun, big hill towards the end. Yeah, so like that's one that I think it's a historic race, and I think a lot of people do it. Tab says Mo Farah wins every year, so that'd be kind of cool to just be in a race that Mo Farah is in. I mean, I was in the Chicago Marathon when he won, but and not that if I went to like the Great North Run that I would have a chance to like meet him or anything, but it would just be good to like kind of see that. I think I would enjoy that. So that's like kind of like my thinking. I don't know that's 2021. That might be a 2022 thing. So we'll see. Martha says that the running event looks like hog heaven for shoe fanatics. It certainly is. And last year was great, because last year was the year that I missed was like the first year where I feel like, I think that the running community can be a lot more like kind of like the tech community, where like in the tech community, like the tech tubers, they all go to like CES, and they're like, reporting on rumors and like leaking early photos of stuff. Like, I think I like all that. And I'm not so like naive to not think that like those aren't all part of a very sophisticated and orchestrated like kind of campaign that is like somewhat official launch and like stuff that's intentionally leaked. I understand all that, but I like that whole process. And I think the running community can like pick and choose some of like the nice things about that. So like, I don't know. I would love to be able to, and like last year we saw a lot of like live from the floor type of coverage, like Running Warehouse made a whole bunch of videos, and Believe in the Run made a whole bunch of videos. I think one that they had to like then take down again later, because like they weren't supposed to show something and people weren't sure. And then there was like one of the shoe manufacturers has something taken down. I think, am I remembering that right? But that's when I saw like my first look at like the Nova Blast from that. That's my first real look that I saw at like the Endorphin series, so it's just fun. It gets people excited. And I think for a long time, the shoe industry has been like, we can't tell people that new shoes are coming because then they won't buy these shoes, but like the phone industry, mobile phone industry deals with that all the time, but I think they realize that like, it may cause one person to wait a little bit before making a purchase, but it just drives frenzy and drives interest. So I think that's all a good thing. And Andreas wants to know, speaking of light shoes, I was talking about the Hyperion Tempo. Have I tried running in really minimal, like 5 fingers or anything? I haven't. I've been looking at Zero. Is that how you say it? It's like XC or Aero. is it XERO or AER? I don't know. There's a minimalist shoe company, and the way they always do it, they fold the shoe over. I don't know why that's I don't know why that's always the selling point, but there's that. So I've been looking at those because what's his name? Chase Reeves or something like that. There's a guy that he's out of Austin. He's got long hair and a mustache. That's not the only reason I like him. I just think he's very funny, a little bit of comedy in his videos. He makes videos about like travel bags and minimalist shoes. It's a weird combo, but it's very Austin. And he talks a lot about them. So I've been like, well, maybe I'll get a pair of those if I do more. Like in the summertime, some of these like mobility drills that I'm doing, I might want to do them on grass, so maybe I'll do them barefoot, but maybe I'll do them in a minimalist shoe. Maybe I might try running in some just to, test them out. So I've been thinking about it, but certainly not in the winter. I'm not interested in that at all. But maybe in the summer once it gets hot. All right. Stevie76 says, recommend London YouTuber Amritpal Katora. Awesome marathon story, 440 to sub 3. I'll have to check that out. I'm always a big fan of the sub 3 stories. I was also listening to I've been listening to a lot of podcasts lately. Listening to, I think I told you about that yesterday though. The Chris Chavez of Cities Mag was interviewing For the Long Run, or For the Long Run was interviewing Chavez. And one of his goals right now is to go under 3 for the marathon. So I think Lindsey Hine is current. I don't know if she's currently, or if she has that as like a longer term goal. I don't think she's right now training for it, but has been talking about a sub 3 marathon attempt too. So I feel like a lot of people are like, there's a lot of energy around that right now. And I feel like that's going to be very helpful for me. Yeah. All right, let's do one more, and then I get going for a day. John Ritchie says, hi, Kofuzi. Struggle to go sub 4 hours on the marathon. 145 PV for the half. Any tips for 56 years old this year? Diet consists of Guinness and painkillers. Ha, good vibes. Yeah, I think the same thing would be run more. Like work on consistency. I mean, if you're running a 145 for the half, I think that a sub 4 marathon is certainly in the cards for you. So you're like your half marathon. Oh boy, I'm losing the camera. So here we go. I'm going to switch over to my regular webcam here. So, and this is a good time to end. But I think that, yeah, you have the capability of running the 4 with that half marathon time. You just need to work on your endurance to making sure that you can have the ability to keep the engine running the car for that entire time. So I would work on consistency across the year. So like you can take breaks and like step away from it, but like I would, not take like a winter off or a spring off or anything like that. If you're, as you're going for this, but also slowly start to increase your mileage, especially if you don't have a marathon on the books, but start to build some of those miles in, put those deposits in the bank. With lots of just easy miles and work on that long run. So those are the things that I would look at. All right. I think that's a good place to end it for today. My camera is exhausted. It says it's overheated. It doesn't say it's exhausted, but that's it. So we'll leave it here for today. Tomorrow morning, no video for the morning, but we'll do another live stream, same time, 3 p.m. Central Time right here on YouTube. Hopefully I'll see you. And then in the meantime, be safe out there, everybody. Thanks.